We've been covering Storm Harvey because it does seem to have transfixed investors, transfixed those on the Bloomberg. Very well-read story. And we've been talking about the impact on the markets, impacting some of the energy space and keeping investors perhaps waiting in Asia to see where this goes to next. Is this something that's materialised on your investment horizon? Where do you see this having an impact on your investments?
Well, what's been going on in markets, both commodity as well as currency markets, is certainly going to have an impact. For one thing, commodity prices, by everything that's been going on, seem even more supported than they seemed for a while. And Are we online?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, Burkhard, you carry on.
Sorry. And for another, from everything we've heard from Jackson Hole, the speeches by Mario Draghi, by Kuroda, by Janet Yellen, they certainly confirm the view that we'll get more of the same, which is to say accommodative policy. And that's very much because monetary policy is somehow a victim to its own doings. It doesn't really easily find its way out of the situation it got itself to. And at the end of the day, whatever you want to call that, that's good for markets, that's good for liquidity, that's driving risk premia down across the board and driving asset prices higher across the board.
Burkhard, what do you think about the idea of rolling back regulation? I mean, normally we think about rolling back regulation as good for the free market, but the point that was made by Draghi and to some extent Yellen as well is that at this time of very easy, very accommodative monetary policy, it might be a little bit dangerous to roll back regulation too much.
Well, look, as always in life, it's not the quantity that matters, it's quality that matters. And, you know, you find the same in regulation. Banks have been faced with over 100,000 of new pieces of legislation, each and every bank around the globe. Now, whether that was too much or too little can be disputed, but certainly not every one of these 100,000 and more new pieces of legislation were of the same quality. So the trick will be whether we can take that step towards smarter regulation rather than just cutting it across the board. I think Mario Draghi also made other very important and meaningful points of reference here. He clearly stated that against the backdrop of demographic aging, especially in the Western world, the world needs to step up either in terms of productivity growth, which is really innovation that needs to be delivered by companies, or in strengthening the framework and the institutions that foster global trade, that foster globalization. And that indeed is a very important sign, especially during these troublesome times where a lot of talk about mercantilism and the return to protectionism is making its rounds.